There's something on your wrist right now that TSA quietly studies more carefully than your bag. You don't think about it. You wear it every day. It's the most ordinary thing you own. But the second you step into an airport, that small piece of technology becomes one of the first things the security system reads before your face, before your ticket, before your luggage even hits the belt. And here's the part nobody talks about. The rules for wearables, smartwatches, smart rings, fitness trackers, hearing aids, medical devices have quietly changed, not announced, not posted on signs, not explained at the checkpoint. They've just changed. The travelers who know these new rules walk through in under a minute. The ones who don't get pulled aside, patted down, and held back while the line moves on without them. And almost none of them ever figure out what they did wrong. By the end of this video, you'll know the 9 new wearable rules TSA never tells you about. Some of them protect your devices. Some of them protect your time. And one of them, the very first one, explains why 2 travelers wearing the exact same watch get completely different treatment at the same checkpoint. Let's start there. Item 1. The strap, not the watch. Look down at your watch right now. Most people see the screen, the sensors, the small electronics packed inside it. That's what they assume the security machine is looking for. It isn't. The metal detector at the checkpoint doesn't care about your screen. It doesn't care about your apps. It doesn't care about your heart rate sensor. It reacts to one thing, only metal. And the metal on your wrist isn't the watch itself. It's the band wrapped underneath it. A silicone band slides through like it isn't even there. A rubber strap behaves the same way. But a stainless steel link bracelet acts like a small block of solid metal moving across the sensor. Same watch. Same wrist. Completely different signal to the machine. This is the reason one traveler walks through cleanly while the person right behind them wearing the same watch model but with a metal bracelet gets pulled aside. Most older travelers prefer the metal bracelet because it feels solid, comfortable, and secure. That preference is exactly what the machine reacts to. The watch you bought for peace of mind becomes the reason you get stopped. And here's what almost nobody realizes. TSA does not announce this anywhere. There's no sign explaining it. The watch only becomes a problem after the alarm goes off, and by then, you're already in the secondary screening line, watching your flight time tick away. That's the rule for the watch on your wrist. But there's a smaller wearable that's quietly become more common, and it follows almost the opposite set of rules. Item 2. Smart rings are a new category, with no real rulebook. In the last few years, smart rings have quietly become one of the fastest growing wearables in the world. Brands like Aura and Samsung Galaxy now sit on millions of fingers, tracking sleep, heart rate, body temperature, and even early signs of illness. And for older travelers especially, they've become a quiet favorite, small, simple, and easy to wear. But here's what nobody tells you. TSA has not published a single official rule for them. Smart rings are usually too small to trigger a properly calibrated metal detector. They almost never alarm the body scanner. On paper, they should be the easiest wearable to bring through security. And for most travelers, they are. The hidden danger is what happens when an officer does ask you to remove one. Smart rings are smaller than a coin. They're round, smooth, and they roll. The moment you drop one into a small plastic tray, you've placed a $600 health device into a container designed to tip, slide, and shift on a moving belt. Rings get bumped under the rim. They roll into another bin. They get scooped up with someone else's loose change without anyone noticing. The rule almost nobody knows is simple. If you're going to wear a smart ring through security, never let it leave your hand. Keep it on your finger, or place it inside a hard case inside your carry-on bag. The open tray is the one place it should never go. That covers the small, simple wearables. But the next group of devices are the ones your body actually depends on, and the rules for those are completely different. Item 3. Medical wearables have a right you're quietly giving up. If you wear an insulin pump, a continuous glucose monitor, or any similar medical device, this rule matters more than any other one in this video. The manufacturers of these devices, including major brands like Medtronic, have stated clearly that body scanners can damage them. The X-ray belt can damage them. And TSA's own policy fully agrees. You have the documented right to refuse the body scanner and request the metal detector or a pat-down instead. But watch what actually happens at the checkpoint. The officer waves you forward toward the scanner. You're tired. You're holding your shoes in one hand and your boarding pass in the other. The line behind you is long, and somebody is already sighing. So you walk forward. You comply. You don't say a word. And in that one moment of being polite, you've just sent a medical device that costs thousands of dollars and that your body depends on, through a machine its own manufacturer warned against. The right exists. It's written in TSA's own published guidance on disabilities and medical conditions. It's just structured in a way that most people never use it. The system isn't going to remind you. The officer isn't going to mention it. The only thing standing between your device and that scanner is whether you know to speak up. The device matters. But the moment you mention, it matters even more, and that timing is something almost nobody gets right. Item 4. When you speak changes the entire screening. For any medical wearable pump, monitor, hearing aid, cochlear implant, the timing of one sentence decides which version of screening you receive. If you tell the officer about your device before you step into the machine, you get routed into one process. Slow, calm, controlled. The officer prepares for it. They guide you toward the right machine. They explain what's coming next. The whole thing takes about 30 seconds longer than a normal screening. But if you walk through first, and the machine alarms second, the entire situation changes. TSA policy automatically escalates it. Your hands get tested for explosive trace. A pat-down begins around the device area. Secondary inspection may follow. None of that needs to happen if the announcement comes at the right moment. Most travelers think mentioning the device is a courtesy, something polite to do if you remember. It isn't. It's the difference between 30 seconds and 15 minutes. The system was built around sequence. You either set the tone, or the machine sets it for you. This is especially important for older travelers who don't like drawing attention to themselves at the checkpoint. The instinct is to stay quiet, walk through, and let the device do whatever it does. That silence is exactly what triggers the longer process. That's the moment you walk through. But the next rule is about a smaller moment. Most travelers never even register the moment they take their wearable off and place it down. Item 5. The small plastic tray is where watches disappear. Watch the line in front of you the next time you fly. Almost everyone does the exact same thing. They take their watch off. They drop it into the small open plastic tray. They place it next to their keys, their phone, and their belt. Then they send the tray down the belt and walk through the scanner. It feels safe. It feels organized. It feels like the right thing to do. But TSA's own published guidance says the opposite. They recommend placing watches, jewelry, and small valuables inside your carry-on bag, not in the open tray. There's a structural reason for that. Those plastic trays tip when something heavy lands inside. They stack against each other on the belt. They get bumped, slid, and pushed by every person in line behind you. And here's the exact moment that creates the risk. You step into the scanner. Your arms go up. Your eyes are on the officer in front of you. Your watch is now on the other side of the conveyor, in a plastic tray, with strangers standing within reach of it. That window is about 10 to 15 seconds long, but it only takes 2 or 3 for something small to disappear. Theft at checkpoints is rare, but quiet loss isn't. Watches slide. They get bumped into the wrong tray. They get scooped up with someone else's belongings. The tray was never built to protect anything that small, and the people who lose watches there almost never realize it until they've already boarded the plane. That's the rule for watches. But the next rule applies to a much quieter group of travelers who almost never speak up about it, and the loss is even worse when it happens. If any of this has already changed the way you look at your wrist or your hand before flying, take a second and hit the like button. It helps the channel reach more travelers who don't know these rules yet. And the next few rules are the ones where the smallest mistakes start costing the most. Item 6. Hearing aids don't belong in the tray, either. This rule matters for senior travelers more than anyone else. TSA policy is unusually clear on this one. Hearing aids and cochlear implants do not need to come off for security. The metal detector won't damage them. The body scanner won't damage them. The X-ray on carry-ons won't damage them. You can walk through the entire checkpoint with them in your ears, and nothing will happen. But most older travelers do the opposite. They take them out before reaching the belt. They drop them into a small tray, often beside coins and keys. And they send a pair of medical devices that can cost $4,000 to $7,000 down a moving conveyor toward a crowded collection area. The act of being careful is what creates the danger. A small hearing aid in a busy tray can fall out, get bumped into the next bin, or get missed entirely when you collect your belongings on the other side. They're easy to lose because they're small, beige, and they look like part of the tray itself. People walk past them. Officers don't catch them. They're gone before the owner even realizes. The scanner was never the real threat. The removal was. And the only travelers who quietly know this are the ones who've already lost a hearing aid at an airport once and never let it leave their ears again. That's the wearable on your ear. But here's something almost nobody realizes. Every wearable on your body behaves differently depending on which line you walk into. Item 7. Your wearable behaves differently in PreCheck. Most people think TSA PreCheck just means a shorter line and keeping your shoes on. That's the part you see on the surface. The deeper change is which screening machine your wearable actually goes through. In PreCheck lanes, the default device is almost always the walk-through metal detector, not the body scanner. That single difference is why smartwatches, fitness trackers, smart rings, and most wearables pass through PreCheck without a single problem, while the same device on the same wrist can flag a standard lane an hour later. The lane controls the machine. The machine controls whether your wearable becomes a problem. Travelers in PreCheck rarely understand why their watch never alarms. They assume it's because they're trusted. It isn't. It's because their watch is being scanned by a machine that only reacts to metal, and most modern wearables don't carry enough of it to trigger anything. For senior travelers, this changes the math entirely. If you fly more than twice a year, and you wear a smartwatch, a fitness tracker, or any kind of medical device, PreCheck quietly removes the variable that gets most wearables flagged. It's not just about speed. It's about avoiding the scanner that creates the alarm in the first place. The lane changes the result. But even after all of that, there's still one human factor that can override every rule we've covered so far. Item 8. Bulky jewelry is a judgment call, not a written rule. There is no published TSA rule requiring smartwatches to come off. There is no list. There is no measurement. There is no weight limit. Nothing official. What exists instead is a vague category called bulky jewelry, and that category is decided entirely by the officer standing at your checkpoint at that exact moment. A large, stainless steel watch with a wide bracelet can be waved through cleanly by one officer at 7 a.m. and pulled aside by another officer at the same airport at 10 a.m. Same watch, same wrist, same airport. Different decision. The variables behind that decision aren't written down. They include the officer's fatigue, the length of the line, the time of morning, recent intelligence briefings, and even the mood of the supervisor standing behind them. None of that is visible to you. All of it affects whether your watch becomes an issue. Most travelers assume airport security operates on fixed, predictable rules. For wearables, it doesn't. It operates on human judgment, wearing a uniform. The smaller and quieter your wearable looks, the less judgment gets used on you. The chunkier and more visible it looks, the more it does. That single principle explains more checkpoint delays than any official rule ever could. We're down to the final rule now. And this last one is the smallest detail of all the kind of detail travelers think couldn't possibly matter, until the morning it does. Item 9. A dead battery becomes a problem at the wrong moment. TSA officers have the documented authority to ask any passenger to power on an electronic device to prove it works. The rule was originally written for phones and laptops after a series of overseas security incidents. But the rule applies to any electronic device, and that includes a smartwatch. For watches, this is almost never enforced. Almost. The hidden danger isn't the rule itself, it's the moment it gets used. If your screening has already raised any flag, your watch triggered the body scanner, your bag got pulled for a secondary check, your medication needed extra inspection. A smartwatch that won't power on becomes another small data point for the officer to consider. And the policy is firm. A device that cannot be powered on may be denied through the checkpoint. Most travelers never have this happen, but rarely is not never. The detail nobody thinks about is timing. A dead smartwatch at home means nothing. A dead smartwatch sitting on a checkpoint tray next to a flagged bag on a delayed travel morning becomes the small thing that changes how the rest of the screening unfolds. Charging your watch the night before isn't about battery life. It's about removing one variable from a system that's already looking for reasons to slow you down. Now I'm curious, which one of these surprised you the most? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to know. And if you want your next trip to feel smoother, calmer, and more in control, make sure you subscribe. Because stress at the airport doesn't come from travel. It comes from not knowing what's really happening.